What's up, Habibis? A.D.H.S here. Yes, I'm super excited. I'm doing my first track breakdown. I want to call it more insights, actually, because I don't want to just go channel by channel. I also want to talk a little bit about my production process and what I thought when I started the track, even before in this case. And yeah, I just want to share actually some knowledge I learned over the last couple of years, because when I started producing a bit more than 5 years ago, I went bananas with the tutorials. Like, I watched everything I can get my hands on in YouTube. I bought a lot of masterclasses from Production Music Live, from Saini, it's a German one, both are Germans, from the artist itself, like for example the masterclass from Anna and Weber. Amazing. Like, if you haven't checked it out, please do so. It's amazing content in there. Also, the track breakdowns from Weber afterwards are just insane. Like, so many creative techniques I picked up there. Same goes for Victor Ruiz. Alex Stein also did a really cool one. Yeah, I mean, there are tons out of there. And of course, I also watched a lot from my brother Thomas Schumacher. He even has his Patreon group, which I can highly recommend. He's even there to help with tracks, like to give feedback, which I find is so valuable. Like, it's the best thing you can get is actually a feedback from someone who's doing it that long. I'm blessed to get a lot of feedback from him. I'm blessed to stay in the studio with him, to watch him produce. We produced now just a track together, or 2 tracks together, Mirage, which just came out 2 weeks ago. So let's start. First, I want to talk about the idea of the track. And what is the track? The track is my remix for Thomas Schumacher, When I Rock. And I had the idea, or the wish, the inner need to remix this track already 2020, when the pandemic was in full swing, let's say. And we did this live stream things. What a crazy time. And there I played it again for the first time since a while, the original. And I don't know, I felt again this connection with this track, with the vocals, with the bass progression. And I was like, man, I need to get my hands on this track, you know? Like, I really felt I have something to say, which is not said with these elements. And I feel like that's really important. I wouldn't take a remix just to remix. I would always like wait till something is coming which does make you feel something, which you want to add, something you want to add to the story. You want to go in another direction, a twist. Like, yeah, don't just remix because you want to remix, you know? Because I think it can be then a bit generic. So yeah, with this case, I was lucky that the track is from my good brother. So yeah, fast forward 2 years, because at that point I was not ready production-wise to do this. Fast forward 2 years, in last January I felt the need again. And then when I came back, we were in the studio just jamming. And then after a while I was like, bro, this track When I Rock, man, one day I need to put my hands on this. And then in April, I remember vividly, I was taking a walk through my hood and suddenly got a message from him, and he was like, here you go, son, don't fuck it up. And he sent me the stems. And man, I got so excited on the spot. Like, I was standing on a little bridge in Kreuzberg, and I just started writing down ideas without playback, without nothing. I was just like, okay, I know I want to have an acid drop, but it shouldn't be an acid track, you know? Like, I don't want it to have a full acid track, but I wanted this raw energy of the acid line in the drop. And I knew I wanted to take this big bass. It's a Waldorf bass in the breakdown, but to have something more ravey, a more 16 bass line during the whole track to give it more energy. And then I was listening a lot to the original, and I already wrote tons of ideas down just in that moment, basically. And yeah, then I was holding myself back for a couple of days because I had to finish other tracks, and I know myself, once I dive deep in a project, I kind of forget the old ones, and that's not the best habit, I guess. So I'm really working on that to try to finish the tracks, at least that I can play it out, so I'm not losing the spirit of it. Because if I'm working on too many tracks parallel, some might get lost on the way. That happened already many times, and that's just a bit sad because you're kind of losing a baby there. So yeah, I was holding myself back, but then one morning I remember I woke up and I was like, okay, maybe I check it a bit, and I was like, no, I'm not putting on headphones, I'm not going to the studio, no, I'm just checking the stems, and see if everything is there, basically. And of course everything was there, and then I was like, I can see how, what's the tempo be like. And then I tracked in a kick sample, which is still the same kick sample, basically, because I remember I was like, man, this one hits on the fucking MacBook speakers like bad. So I was like, okay, this might translate very well to the club. And yeah, after half an hour I was like, okay, fuck this shit. I grabbed my stuff, bicycled to the studio, and yeah, I think I did the whole thing, kind of the whole main idea and the whole arrangement on that day, like in maybe 9 hours. And then I remember then standing up from the chair for the first time after a couple of hours and just blasting the shit out and just raving to it. And I had goosebumps all over. I was like, man, okay, I nailed it already in the first draft. Why I'm telling this story? Because I'm convinced that having a vision before kind of made it really easy for me to go like a shark to the point. Of course, I was experimenting a lot, but I knew where I wanted to go. It was just like a matter of trying, but not going too deep down that rabbit hole and going for ages searching for kick samples. And, I wanted to, or in this case, I nailed it to do the ideas fast, to bring them to life without going too much left and right. Because I think the time span of like the high creativity is not that long. At least for me, like I think the first 3 or 4 hours like the most productive one. So if I manage to get the most good ideas out in that time, it's good. To summarize this up. Yeah, I think let's start. I'm gonna go a bit channel by channel, but I try to not go too much into the detail. Like, for example, okay, I put this ratio on the compressor. I mean, if it's important, yes, but I'm not the best guy in mixing so far. I'm still taking lessons with a teacher for mixing, and I'm also getting help with the mix down. And yeah, lately my mix is getting better and better. I'm super proud. Also, what helped a lot was ozone, because it's showing kind of what's wrong, but I'm gonna go in this a bit later. But yeah, so want to talk more about the creative stuff here. Super creatively, we have a kick bounce, a low bounce. Basically, this was a sample. It kind of came that. I remember I had to tame the transients a lot, EQing wise, and I also think I worked a bit with Neutron. Neutron is a really cool plugin. You can kind of divide in different bands and then shape the transients, because that one was so clicky, which I liked in the beginning because it was punching through the MacBook speakers, but in the club when I tested it out, was too much. It was just really aggressive for the ears, and also it's nice to have punchy and aggressive kicks. I like them, but if you overdo it, it's just a bit nah. So yeah, I remember there was a lot of EQing and a lot of fine tuning. I even used Soothe on that one to let AI do a bit of job there too. So, and the foundation of the track is this really nice kick and bass combined with this ravey bass line. And the bass line is one of my favorite synths, actually. Here I had to bounce it also because sometimes my pigments, I don't know, does troubles and leaves notes out. So I have to bounce it all the time. But yeah, here I left it in. Sounds a bit different because I, of course, afterwards treated it. And yeah, it's this super dope preset actually, which I barely tweaked because it's just working. It's this Trance in Me. Of course, I worked a bit on the envelopes and that, but nothing major here. And yeah, I made sure to give this motherfucker some life and yeah, to automate it a lot basically. I mean, of course, all the time the cutoff, but also I'm working a bit with the, as you can see here, with the wavetable amount. Like it's a really nice distortion. Gives a, it's nice how they're coming out there. Yeah, to give a bit of different timbres, basically what I want to say here. Then let me check. Did I layer that? No. This is interesting too. In the beginning, I was feeling like it kind of needed a bit of punch. And the day I had, or a bit of also not punch, but more of a zabby kind of 100 hertz, kind of more hitting bass line. So I recorded with the Matrix brute for my studio neighbor that day. But in the end, I couldn't make it really fit in the mix. It was just muddying up, so I decided to leave it out. And yeah, to be honest, it worked. That's the best advantage of being able to play my stuff out, because then I know it's gonna work. If I played it on 3 or 4 multiple festivals or clubs, and at every occasion it kind of hits right, everything, I know it's gonna hit right. So yeah, that's a big plus of being an active DJ actually when you're doing dance music. But still, like, if you're not having that many gigs and you want to lay something, rent a car and do the car test, use the iPhone, use the MacBook speakers, like get at much different devices as possible. And if it's on all of them kind of sounding right, you're already in the ballpark, I guess. So yeah, that's the foundation of the track, I would call it. Then above that, of course, we have the drums. Let's loop a busy section. Yeah, super basic drums basically. We have a lot of 909 stuff here, as you can hear. Yep, almost everything is 909. The off, the 16th, which does some 32 steps, which I really like, gives some groove. It's also a bit of hip-hop influenced. And to top them also, and to give them a bit of different flavor, because of course I love the 909 stuff. It's so techno, but I also love to put some different spices there, you know, some different flavors. I used a nice shaker loop here from, I think it's from Trance actually. Give some nice groove, and an off shaker. I think that's kind of interesting what I did here. Yes, it's from the Vox actually. It's from the vocal sample itself. I made a shaker out of it. Wow. Yeah, one thing, I didn't clean the project, and also sometimes I go way too bananas with the processing. That's something, as I told you, I'm not producing that long, so that's something which I would call still a bit of a rookie mistake. Sometimes it's nice because I achieve certain things, but I'm sure I could get away with a bit less plugins in the end. And like, I realize more and more how nice it is to have it a bit more pure and not to over process it. But in this case, I went bananas. And this is just the s of the vocal. All right, back. I got interrupted. I'm sorry. So yeah, what I want to say, I think it's possible to do this a bit less, a bit less processed. But I don't know. It's also something like, go for it. You know, like, try different things. Throw a lot of plugins. A lot of my inspiration come from that, and then maybe in the end try to reduce it. So yeah, about the processing here, some compression. Then I love the vocoder. This is just a fucking beast. You can basically turn anything into a hi-hat with that one, and also I'm automating this a lot to kind of create my own riser out of the existing material, which is pretty cool, because otherwise sometimes those risers, don't get me wrong, I love them actually, but sometimes they can sound a bit generic. So yeah, with hats I did this a lot. In the last productions I actually did not, so this is good. I'm getting reminded how much I love this actually. Then some basic filtering and all that, which is kind of important to have a bit, to control a bit the dynamics. Same goes here for the gain. And then this one is actually right now not working because I'm not plugged to my UAD, but yeah, this one is just a super dope compressor for drums. It's the transients are just good on this shit. Yeah, but it's not really needed. Like, you know, you can also get a really tight sounding mixdown without UAD plugins. This is something I learned on the road now. Like in the beginning, like in the first 2 years, I went bananas. I bought so many UAD plugins and was like, okay, that's the only way to go. And now I'm using them less and less and less, and my mixes are getting better and better because I know how to use the plugins, and the Ableton stuff is really great. I was not believing this in the beginning, but trust me, the shit is really amazing. And then when you're like in the final stage, to give a bit more color, to give a bit more of analog feeling, this stuff is great, but it's not a must in the beginning. I fall a bit in the trap of, I need those shiny cool plugins to reach the top sound, while my EQing was still shit, you know? So yeah, what I want to say is like focus on the basics first before going into fancy plugins and that. So yeah, that's the drums and the bass line. Then we have here in the beginning, sorry by the way, my plugins, my arrangement and all that is always a bit chaos. That's already a bit organized. I'm more of a chaos guy, which helps me sometimes and also sometimes is a pain in the ass. So yeah, those perks kind of, they only appear in the beginning, and they are just there to give a bit of interesting, to give a bit of more groove. They are unfortunately already bounced to audio, but I'm pretty sure I made them with some weird plugin. I think Fragments from Arturia or something else, and it's for sure made with the voice. That's something so dope how they talk together. Deep. I got a huge latency because of all the plugins. Yeah, that's something I always love to do to make the track, and then when I'm almost finished, I start to take the main elements and run them through weirdness plugins. Here I have my own folder here with weirdness, Fragments, Portal, Tundra, and I just go bananas with the presets or tweak them a bit. And then I just record and see how I can make them fit for more perky, more ear candy kind of stuff. So on one hand, it's nice because I don't have to search through all this shit for all my samples. And I don't know, sometimes this really makes me uncreative. If I don't hit something after like the 5th or 6th sample, I'm get a bit like, okay, zack. And the other thing is, it's already in the right key, and it's fitting the whole timbre of the track. And in this case, it's really nice that it's from the vocals, because our ear, I'm 100% sure, is so attached to the human voice. So we are more likely to like that stuff, you know? Yeah, here's written actually Perks Vox. So yeah, I strongly recommend this shit. At least for me, I completely love it. Gives the track a bit of more specialness, I would say. Yeah. It's filtered. And they talking. Bip. Boom, boom, bop. Bip. Boom, boom, bop. Yeah, love that shit. So that's the perks here. Let's continue. What is also important? For sure, this one on top. I left that out in the beginning because it's not like the main thing. As you see, I go also a bit bananas with the A.D.H.S. I almost always have some field recordings in my tracks. I don't know why, but it gives me the feeling that the track is alive, and it does something to the track. I'm 100% sure. It's more in the subconscious level, but yeah, it does something. And for me, it's also nice to, as a diary kind of, that was like a really nice, when I had my gig in London, I recorded that street market. I was so silent. But it was such a vivid situation, and I don't know, I was just standing there in the middle and was like, wow, I love this vibe, and I just recorded it. So yeah, it's kind of like printed in my track. And this one was just when I played in Munich, this was a huge thunderstorm the night before I played I Love Summer. It was such an energy, and I knew I wanted energy for this track and some mysterious feeling. So I went back to my recordings, was like, oh yeah, man, that was a dope feeling. There was an energy in the air. So yeah, that's why I added that. Then I also took the vocals and I made with a reverb my own. Yeah. So nice. You can hear. It's the beginning of the vocal. When I stop, don't disturb me, rhythm get too mad. So yeah. And what's that? Some texture. I think I also made this actually with the vocal probably, or with the kick. I also like to do this with a kick. Then I take some delays. I heavily distort it, probably with the amp, and then I roll off the whole low end. So it's just like a grittiness on top of everything, and it's not major. Some people say like maybe I'm fucking up a mix a bit. I mix up a bit with that. That might be, but if you lower it in the mix, for me it just gives life to the tracks. And I mean, we're doing computer music, so I think everything we can do to make the stuff more alive helps, like big time. At least for me. So yeah, let's continue. What does we have here is. No, in the end, I decided to leave it out. That's also interesting. That's something I created with the original bass. I created a black, but in the end, I played it. I couldn't hear it in the club proper. It just was fucking up the mix a bit. So in the end, I kept it out. Yeah, it's important to take those decisions, and. I'm trying always, I'm still getting better in this. I'm always trying myself to say like, okay, does this really add something to the track in this moment? And if it doesn't, just leave it out, because you will never miss it. You will not say there in 5 years like, oh, I think this record didn't sell good because I leave the running plug out. And it makes your life so much easier. Mixdown wise, also makes the life easy of the listener, because like too many elements are just too complicated to follow on the dance floor. So yeah, try to keep it simple. I'm still in this phase. I will probably be ever in this phase, but yeah, the more I grow in production, the more I realize production means reduction. It's something I picked up from a tutorial from Sadovik production. He said this, and this is so true. The better you get, the less elements you use, the less plugins you use, and the more you focus on the main ideas. So let's continue. Let's go for the first fucking drop, man. We are talking a long time here without hearing actually some stuff. Sorry, but I'm already introducing the voice here to make the bridge kind of to the vocal drop here. And that's something I also love to do. And this time I made it with an app, which is for the iPad, called Sampler. I picked this up in a podcast from Freligan, and he used this stuff a lot. So I also tried. Actually, I didn't use it as much as I should. But this was a nice session. It's basically more a delay here. It's not something crazy what I did here. I had like crazy recordings, but of course they didn't fit. So in the end, it's basically a delay. But I don't know, it was nice because it's really like you can touch it, you can feel it, you can move around the thing. So it made me really inspired in the moment, and that's all that matters. So yeah, this element kind of makes the bridge to the first drop, the first highlight of the track. And this drop I was already envisioned before I sat down to write the track. That was already in my notes. I was like, I want the first drop to fully have the focus on the vocals, just kick drum, just the vocals, and like here, bam, take them, you know, like get friends. And yeah. Something to see. I just love this part of the track. Wow, they're so good. So good, these fucking vocals. I get the stems from Thomas. He sent me it's actually a was a freestyle rap session from one of the rappers from The Roots. And he managed to chop it in a different way, and also he processed it already. But he also sent me the original files, and I was being like, okay, Then I tried a bit, but in the end, I already fell in love with the timbre of this recording, kind of this audio file from him. So yeah, I decided to not overthink it, to not overdo it, to just take how it is. Of course, give it a bit of my spin. But to leave the timbre as it is, because I don't know how he processed it back then, but it's amazing. Be relaxed. Yeah, I gave it a bit of EQing, a bit of side chaining. Fuck, why is this off? Maybe because when I a bit of cleaned this project, I moved the sidechain in another folder, and that might fucked up the whole routing. So yeah, don't mind this. It was kind of quite resonancy. I think back then we're not using Soothed. Then this is a pretty dope plugin. I fucking love that. Gives a really nice movement. It's subtle, but yes, love that stuff. Really love that stuff. Gives the whole stuff, yes, is about getting out more life of the elements, basically. That's what I'm achieving here. Some CL vocal. Love this, using the preset there, because vocals for me is like still, wow. It's a lot to consider, a lot to work on, so I'm trying to help myself out with as many good plugins and also like good presets, and try to start from there to make my life easy and not to waste too much time on that, because I'm not a mixing engineer. Of course, I get better and better, and I also enjoy it, but I want to focus mainly on being creative. Then this one is just gold. This plugin I can highly recommend. This is just bringing out shininess and brightness of elements, especially of vocals. I picked that up from Disclosure. I love it. You hear that? It's like puts another layer on top of highness, but without being harsh or anything. It's really silk. So yeah, you can save a lot of kind of shitty recordings, or I'm ripping a lot of Instagram, YouTube and all that, or even like making voice memos. So I'm using this one a lot to kind of make it a bit more polished sounding. Yeah, bit of saturation. This one is great because it's like multi-band. This one is not working at the moment, but it's like a super famous compressor. Love that one. So easy. 2 knobs. Bam. And bit of EQing. Let's see what I did. Yeah. Basic. And yeah, some mixing stuff here. A bit of, it's like with those consoles, you kind of, it's EQing, but not surgical. It's more like coloring EQing, you know, like you swipe through it and then you see like, oh, okay, I like this frequency, and then you turn it out. It's a bit more, would be amazing actually to do this by hands, because I think it's really a creative mixing. It's not surgical at all. It's more about feeling also in that moment. Yeah, this is more surgical. He is always a bit sharp. I'm wondering why I didn't do any de-essing. Let's say I did this already and I bounced it. Yeah, and some sidechain. Normally you should really de-ess your stuff, because of course Sooth is doing a great job, but actually with the Pro M from Farbfilter, you can really cut out those sharp siblings like which are a lot in that vocal too. Subsong. Yeah, but it is what it is. I was a bit in the rush to finish this whole track. Okay, let's continue. One thing which is also I'm doing all the time. It's the same, basically the same principle. Introducing the element already with something made of the element. And this, yeah, there was a click. Fuck it. You know, like also made out of with a reverb. My favorite reverb for that is the Vintage, because it's so easy to use. I can also make huge decay times. Yeah, and then just reversed it, made a little bit of fade in, and that's it. But I used it all the time for almost every element you will see later. Also here, for example, I think, yeah, I'm already kind of introducing the timbre of the next main element, which comes kind of, yeah, 16 bars later. Probably I did this already here in the first thing. So in my opinion, this really helps to glue the whole story together, to make the listener feel like when the element is like, man, I don't know, makes sense that that this element now came, or like sounds familiar already. So yeah, one of the little tricks I like to apply. And also here some normal FX always helps. White noise always works. Love it. Not ashamed to do this. I think there was a time when it was really uncool to use a lot of white noise, but I think we passed this point already, and now we are like again in the EDM-ish white noise time. Now don't get me wrong, don't overdo it. That's what I wanted to say. Like, don't be cheesy, but to add a splash of energy. And also there are really cool ways to do white noise. You can create them by yourself and do like filter movements and all that shit, or to try to make them more metallic, which I always try to achieve. Yeah, whole nother topic. Let's stay focused. Let's go to the next part of the track. So the next main element is the guy we heard already, the trancey part. Because yeah, like I don't know, I love trance. I love those big melodies. And for me, it's really the time to combine all the things I love. So yeah, let's put some trance. Yeah, that's the trancey part. It consists some channels actually. Wow, more than I thought. So we have I don't think it's a, yeah, it's a silence. Silence is great actually for trance. I got some really cool presets. Basically, it's always a saw detuned, but they just sounding great. And the whole magic comes here from our Mr. Trigger Gate, because basically it's just a note and then yeah, this stuff is great. It has amazing presets. Also the wow. Yes. Yeah. Make sure to play around a bit with the sustain and shit here, and also check a bit if you can give it more swing, less the swing, and check a bit here the short and long step adjustments. And also here you can adjust the global FX, because it has already a delay, which I really like, but sometimes you need to make it fit the track a bit better. Yeah, then just EQing. This one is also really dope. Love that plugin. It's just giving analog vibes. You hear it's like, this is really zizzly in the high end. and now it's get a bit more dull, but also a bit more alive. And this is super mellow here in this part. But it's a great plugin. I think the hip-hop guys use it a lot, but I'm also use it all the time because I'll show you one of my favorite functions. Oh, I do this in the end to do the outro for this part, kinda. So dope. Love that shit. Then it just got layered, because was no more body needed. And then this one actually is pretty cool. Ah, there's also a vibe layer. What is the vibe layer doing? Oh, nice. Yeah. It's a bit distorting. Let's say it's on purpose. It's just a recording of the, I think, of the first layer, and then just run through some plugins to give it a bit more of life, to fill up the frequencies. And yeah, here the flanger is obviously doing a lot of the work. But also I always love to put it in to put kind of the resampled stuff in delays or something to give it a different rhythm or a bit more rhythm, you know, like it's really bouncing nice, everything together now. Here it's just super subtle, it's low in the mix, but it adds a bit more of groove, a bit more of life again. Yeah, love that shit. And to this, bang, bang, the infamous binary vox shout. I love that one. A good friend of mine had to, actually my mixing engineer had to send it to me because I don't own this fucking Nexus plugin. It's so expensive, and the thing is also, it's huge for the computer, and my computer is all the time on the limit. So yeah, but I love that one. It's super trancey, got such a nice vibe. Yeah, I did this to kind of complete the whole trance part here. Let's take a look. What else is going on here? Nothing. My bad, sorry. Here the full stage on the block. And now you hear. That's what I was talking about. That's the RC20 doing the wobble effect there to kind of make a smooth outro for the trance part. And also what is really cool about this whole part here is that the main melody, which I got from Thomas, in this case it's his it's the same note progression he did in the original, is introduced here for the very first time, but with a different element. Because now in the breakdown I'm taking the original stem, this huge mono Waldorf synth, bam, in your face in the middle, and presenting the main melody. But yeah, it's like an intro here already with another element, which is pretty cool. Also, then you're already used to the melody, but you don't overuse it because you, I don't know, let the Waldorf bus run for 2 minutes straight, because then it's get boring. It's not super sophisticated. It's really straightforward. It's just the root, I think the third and the second. Yeah. So yeah, with those kind of simple melodies, they great for techno. In my opinion, they're better than something too complicated, but also if you overdo them and just not give them extra spice in terms of maybe different instruments playing it, or you make a variation from time to time, it can get really generic. Yeah. So let's go to the main break. What a beast. Thomas recorded this one again. He has his old Waldorf still in the studio. I think was not used since 1997 probably when he made the track. But for this occasion he put it out again, and he found the preset again and recorded, and it's just raw. That shit is really raw. I like it. Let's see if we can unfreeze this to check a bit what I did, because I went again a bit bananas, a bit of EQing. As I said, I'm not going too much in the EQing because I think there are a lot of tutorials from mixing guys who are better in mixing and they can tell way more about this. I do just what I hear, what I want to boost. Sometimes I do mistakes, sometimes don't. In the end, it matters that it's sounding great. Wow. That's interesting. Somehow with the freezing, I added with the chorus and the dimension expander actually some stereo. And now, as we talk about this, that's something I always realize playing, that the stuff is completely mono, and I didn't want it that. But yeah, as I said, it was a bit of a rush to hand in the master and all that. So yeah, some stuff got lost on the way. Interesting. Because I feel like it's a bit nicer when it has a bit of stereo information. Yeah. You know? Just adds this more whiteness, more warmth, kinda. It's a great chorus here. I can highly recommend. The Arturia stuff in general is fucking amazing. Go get it. It's kinda, I think it's kinda affordable. I think 200 for a lot of plugins. You don't need more. So yeah, I can really recommend them. This one is great too. It's an expander. Just makes, yeah, as the name says. I think it's free. And yeah, stock stuff here. Then we got, yeah, here again, Arturia. Great emulation of an absolute classic, the Culture Vulture. For example, if you buy it with UAD, just the Culture Vulture cost you 150, and you get the whole Arturia bundle for 200. So yeah, same here. The amazing plate, also really iconic. The EMT 140, love that one. Yes, and then let's show you some stuff I was so proud of, or so much digging it when it happened in the studio. No, go a bit further. You can hear already some filter action, but also listen what happens now. And it's almost like the time stops, and it's amazing on the dance floor. Wow, the people are like, holy shit, what is happening now? And then you're like, I mean, let's get the full part so you can get an idea like what I'm talking about. Don't disturb me. You know, it's like the host is like kind of stopping, and then a lot of elements, or like a main element is coming in, like an impact is coming in. So it's really like, it's a big moment, and that's what it's all about. Like in techno, I learned this from Thomas a lot. He was always, man, you need to create moments in your music, and he's so right with that, because otherwise everything can sound nice and it's super chill and mellow for your ears and you like it, and it might be an amazing chord progression and all that, but if you don't have those standout moments, it's not gonna make the people scream or like be awake or like have a heart attack on the dance floor. So yeah, like make sure to really have some special moments which make you feel something, because then it's gonna make feel the people on the dance floor for sure something too. So yeah, and how I did this is just smashing out my good friend, the Redux. I love to use that one on transitions and all that, because it gives just a nice texture, you know, like good shit, really good shit, love it. Besides that, this is a good example. I mean, of course, this is an effect chain to more like a DJ effect. So don't. But this still, I mean, this we can delete. It's what I told you. It's a long effect chain. I would hope to not be that long today. If I do now the remix again, I would hope to achieve the same shit with a bit less of processing. That's what I want to say. But sometimes you gotta go the long way. Here, das ist the multiband compressor, my favorite one. Love to use it because it's so easy just to tame a bit when it gets too nasty. I don't know when it's not even reacting and I'm clipping here. So yeah, sometimes maybe I just throw plugins there to feel good. And let's continue. Yeah, the vocals coming back here. And now something which is kind of basically doing the whole job of the breakdown. And I remember this moment so vividly in the studio when I did this. It's this amazing riser. Oh, so much going on. Wow. With the context. Crazy good, that stuff. And how I did this is with the harmonizer. It's a plugin from Eventide. I have the UAD version and it's incredible. It's basically just me playing. I think I had the push that day, so I played a bit with the feedback and with the other parameters. I can't use it right now because I'm not linked to my UAD card, but I can show you for sure. It's really, really great stuff. So I was playing for sure here with the feedback and then with the manual probably a bit, maybe a bit with the Clyde. I'm not fully remembering, but doesn't matter. It's just like get something which you can tweak the knobs. Like for example, when I'm in my break, like right now, I'm producing only with this fucker. It's amazing. It has everything I need. It has something to trigger samples, of course keyboard, and this little potty here to play stuff live, to root this and to just, you know, be hands-on. And yeah, when I had this, I was like, okay, breakdown nailed, you know, like there's so much energy in there. Yeah, it's also basically doing the whole job here because like the bass line is not playing, the Waldorf bass is there to do the progression. Yeah, this is also important that I'm pitching this up. Oh. Let's face it, pitching stuff up always works in techno. It's just amazing. I love that. I use this to death and I will use it forever probably because it's just so effective. It's also nice to be atonal from time to time in techno. You know, like techno needs to be edgy, techno needs to be raw. So yeah, do it, do it, do it. Also important here to notice, you hear the reverb is getting bigger and also we get more and more side information. It's like crispy, crispy, crispy. I'm achieving this with just turning the drive out of the overdrive up. But in the same time, to not be too muddy and also to give this pull feeling, I'm using the auto filter to roll off more and more of the low. And also I'm opening with the one knob the release. So it's kind of like, you know. And this one is great actually. I haven't used this in a while, but the thing is the resonance is really nice. I don't know, it gives like, you can hear this here. Has I don't know any other filter has this particular resonance feeling. What I also love to use is a ladder filter because it's kind of emulating a Moog one, but it's different. For different occasions you need different filters. I mean, for sure you can do this the same with the auto filter, but I think the more you produce, the more you get your favorite tools. And then like in the moment where like, okay, I need a filter, like, oh man, I love this resonancy shit. This is the timbre I want to achieve in this moment. And you just grab it and you go, and not like setting here with the resonance. It's like, okay, is it 18%? Is this 90%? And like, you like throw it in, you know, it's going to sound the way you want, and bam, you continue. Yeah, the rest is a lot of automation to kind of match the levels, to have the energy right. Let me see if I use this here. I know I use this only here, but it's also really nice effect chain. basically doing a bit the same what I did there before. Sometimes I also just want to sound a bit more sophisticated, but I'm using this also in on the whole project, on the whole track itself, and that's pretty dope. You hear? And it's basically a DJ effect. It's a delay, grain delay, which gives a bit of extra grittiness. And then, yeah, auto filter, reverb is opening, more filter action here. And it also gets a bit of compressed. So, yeah, good stuff. Downloaded this from Mr. Bascleve. Can highly recommend. Use this actually a lot. It's dope. I love to use effects on the master chain. It's just, yeah, where I'm coming from. I started DJing way before I started production, so for me it's so natural to fuck up with the whole track and not be like, okay, this little element, now like bam, filter, bam, reverb. Yeah. The rest here is also a lot of filtering action, a lot of stuff going into the synths. One thing I want to show when I'm working with the synths. I'm sorry, I'm completely new on Ableton 12. I don't know the shortcut for getting rid of them. If you know, please let me know, because it's so annoying to have them all the time here, because it's taking a lot of space. But to do like this, it's also takes too much time. Yeah, here for example, I don't do it. That's sad. No, I think my routing got fucked again. That's sad. But what I want to show is when I automating stuff, for example, and I throw a lot of elements into the send and returns. To not clog up my mix completely, I take the main element, for example, I'm using the voice here, to sidechain it again. So the reverb is just ducked by the voice. So it's not like everything in your face and everything gets muddy. Yeah, it's basically a bit of parallel processing there. It really doesn't make a big difference. So here it's just some sweep ups. Yeah, as I told you, I love sometimes to use them. Also this is nice. It's just a little detail, but for me it does a lot. It's just this, and hear it. It smashed harder, it hits harder. What can I say? I love it. And yes, now finally we are in the acid section of this track. Love it. And what this acid is basically doing, it's playing the main melody again. And that's what I told you already. You know, I'm playing here already the main melody. I'm playing it here all the way with the original part, with the stem from Thomas. And here I'm playing it with another new element. But still, it doesn't feel overused, because it's a completely different timbre. It's like something new. It brings something new to the table. Yeah, absolutely love that. That was also something I had in the beginning clear. I want to go for acid drop, but not for an acid track. So yeah, that's why it's playing relatively short here in the track. It's crazy. It's just 16 bars, just there to gear the energy and then go away. Yeah, important also here to notice, you hear it already, the intro. I remember actually when I sent the track to my brother Jose Bonetto, and he was like, man, I love the acid, but somehow it came a bit out of the blue. He was like, man, why don't you do like always, just do a little bit of reverse there, and bam. So yeah, big up, brother. And also one thing I cannot stress enough, like send your tracks out to your friends, to producer friends, but also sometimes I also send it to my manager a lot, who's not a producer, to get different feedback from people, you know, like, of course, be aware, because also feedback can fuck up something, like, you know, sometimes if it's not well said, and if they, yeah, don't send it too early, and be sure to send to who. But it's the most valuable thing you can do if it's made proper. That's for sure. So yeah, enough talking. The thing is, it's important to mention that it's layered with the bass line, because otherwise for sure it would lack the energy. Also you hear it's kind of centered, the acid, while the bass line is still on the side, which helps of course for the mixing. So nice. The acid, as you can hear, is quite high cutted, just to leave the low end for the bass line. And yes, let's unfreeze this to check a bit. I'm working here with my favorite 303 emulation, Fostion 2. Bomb shit. You have a lot of modulation capabilities with which you don't have all of them on the original 303. So yeah, that's a big plus, and yeah, it's easy to use. Sometimes this is a bit annoying here with the external and sequencing mode, but the sequencer also is great actually. In this case, I just took the notes. What I remember was a bit pain in the ass, and that's something where I got really amazing feedback from Thomas. When I played him the version, he was like, man, your acid line is too long, the sustain is too long. So I had to figure out to do it, because it doesn't have a sustain knob in the thing. So yeah, the secret was to just make them really short, the MIDI information, because yeah, it's important that this shit is tight and like hitting hard. And I mean, Thomas is a grandmaster of fucking acid, so yeah, he was like spot on. He was like, man, it's nice, but it's dragging if it's too long, you know. Also the mix got clogged, so now it's how it should be. When it comes to the processing of that one, bit of sidechaining. This one is great actually. Shaper box also 100% recommended. You see, I'm splitting it here, so the lower part till 380 get completely ducked, and the high part, the sizzleness, I didn't want to simka. I wanted this to more have the full 16 feeling, because I love my tracks to thrive. So yeah, I decided to just duck that a bit, so it's still grooving, but it's not like ducking too much down. Yeah, that's why the compressor was not needed for sidechaining. Then just some EQing, as you see here. I'm cutting quite out. It's a lot, but it's not needed in that point, sorry. And yeah, kept it completely mono. Mixing reasons. Actually, that's what I mean, like, you don't need expensive plugins. Pedal works so good for acid lines. Love it. I mean, just gives this grittiness what I wanted in this part, then just to tame it a bit in this area. And yeah, here, that's interesting, I guess. I'm a big fan of parallel processing because of mixing, and also because of it gives me sometimes also really creative freedom, but in this case it's more about mixing. As you see, I have like an echo boy, a delay, and a reverb, and they kind of mix on a new channel, so I can mix them in quite nicely. And also, that's what I was telling you here about the send and returns. I duck it by the acid itself. So you see here, but if I don't do it, subtle, but it's just cleaning up, and you don't need it in that moment. Also, sometimes gets really nice groove. You gotta play a bit with the attack and release there. Yeah, love it, and that's important. Give a bit of room, give a bit of more movement. I probably played a bit here with the exactly. That's what I always love to do, to play a bit with the timing, basically. To not have everything hit on the 16, you know, like nudge it a bit to the front, to the back, so it's more like swinging, more grooving. Yeah, and important, really important here, EQ your reverbs and EQ your delays. Because here's a lot of unwanted frequencies, here are probably a lot of unwanted frequencies, which are just just clogging up the mix. And also, not everything has to be so shiny, you know, like at least for my sound, also I like some stuff to sound a bit more muffled in a good way, you know, like more dark, more earthy kind of. So yeah, that's what I'm achieving here. And for reverb, also like taking care of this part is just like, that's where the mix are getting muffled. Yeah. And some compression. Then my friend, my helper from AI. Fuck, this I don't have anymore. Some, yeah, just further EQing, further EQing. This actually was when I had the track done. I went to a guy to mix it, like my teacher, shout out Kevin, and he added that one. So mostly it's a bit of minor stuff. Here, I mean, what he does here is just nice EQing to give a bit more body in this area, taming a bit the sharpness. And this is just basically a bit of coloring, and this is just a bit of taking care again of the stereo. Nothing major, just looks cool because it's from SSL. But yeah, it's detail stuff. That's what I love working with an external mixing engineer, because first of all, he has fresh ears. He didn't work on the track like for ages. Second of all, they're probably way more experienced than I am in mixing, and they just come with different plugins and different suggestions kind of for the track, you know. And in the end, I can always say like, no, I don't feel that, then it's all right. But it's like, it's nice to have someone else like giving their little twist and taking out this extra 5%. So yeah, I can highly recommend to send your to send it to someone, or in that case I do it online because I want to see and I want to learn, and I want to of course take the decisions with him, because I'm quite picky with the mixes, with the sound characteristic, you know, the timbres. Yes, because also they're like great mixing and mastering services like Poplar. I did this too in the past. I can recommend, especially for the beginning. It's nice because they really make your track sound amazingly professional. Even if I would send them now today tracks, they would take my tracks for sure to another level. But in the end, mostly it doesn't fit too much my workflow. And also it's like, I'm not side to side with them. So they might take decisions I don't like, and then it's a really long back and forth till I'm at the point where I say like, okay, I'm super happy with the product. Yeah, that's why I stopped doing this, but might in the future go back to them if I'm, for example, if I'm super busy, I'm on the road, but I really want to have this track done, you know, then I would probably send and say like, okay guys, please, you are the experts in mixing, please finish this one, and if I don't like it, I go in the revision with them. Yeah, and basically that's it for the elements. It's just repeating now. I'm going back to the trancey part for one more time, and then we are out. When it comes to FX, it's really nothing super special. There's a lot of white noise riser, some impacts here to help to make some moments here. Bam. Love that shit. Use a lot of orchestral stuff also. The stuff from Kashmir is great for that. I didn't use it in this track, but I'm using a lot. Yeah, but here you see I'm using Kashmir risers, but also he has great impacts, more orchestral stuff. I'm really drawn to movie sounds, to the whole soundtracks and all the sound design they're using there. So yeah, I find myself a lot in sound design bangs from famous composers. For example, Hans Zimmer, all those guys, heroes for me. So let me take one or 2 or 3 minutes more to talk about the arrangement really quick. Basically important 1 minute of intro for the DJs to go easy into the track. Then I'm still starting kinda plain, you know, not too many elements, not too much tonal information, so it's still also easy to mix it, because otherwise if you go with too much information and too many notes already, it's kind of tricky sometimes to mix. Yeah, then we kind of building it. Drums are more drums. The shaker is just adding. The bass line is doing here basically the whole job. And now we have the first part kind of where we're introducing the vocals. What is interesting here, I'm taking already out this groove ride, which is just, I don't know. Yeah, it was on the one. I'm taking this one out to make a bit more space for the vocals, because it was kind of clashing a bit and also was not needed. And also it's nice to not add up all the time. Sometimes it's good to take something out to have more dynamics in the track. And yeah, as you can see here, also I tried a couple of things and in the end decided to leave it out. I had this claps. It's actually nice. I can't tell why I put it out in the end. Now I like it. I think because it was just also cluttering a bit and not adding too much to the track. But now when I hear it, I kind of like it. Yeah, so it's adding up, Another ride. Super thin cut it. It's just to give a bit of sizzle. This guy also Audio React. I can highly recommend his channel. Learned a lot from the guy. Love it. Amazing samples also. Yeah, here the samples from Fiaka also great. I think they were for free on Splice. Pretty stuff. And yeah, we are building up. We are building up. Going into the first break. The snare is coming in here, getting the energy. And now taking out all of the drums to give a bit of pull feeling to bam, then push it more. Yeah, I love those little arrangement tricks, like taking out things completely, muting them. Just to have a bit of those unexpected moments and to have more dynamics. It's all about more dynamics. And yes, then we have the vocal running for 16, being the star. Then just adding just the off-head, not too many elements, not cluttering it. Just to pick up the drive again, basically. And then that's what I meant with, like, I love those little details. I love those little ear candy stuff. Like, check how the vocal is going out. Oh, like distorting it a bit, going from left to right and throwing it in a reverb. It's just like, yeah, I could do this shit all day. And I'm convinced it does something, because it's, you know, you're repeating this for 4 times, the same thing, and then you do something different with it. And this is kind of making it fresh again. And also maybe want to, yeah, I have the feeling like then I want to hear the vocal again, you know, and then like I'm excited when it's coming back. Yeah, that's my way of thinking there. And yeah, here I'm coming back with more drums because I also have more space. The vocals are not there anymore. The strings or the paddy kind of string trancey elements are not getting bothered by this too much. And also I need now more energy, you know, like this is cool. This is a statement, but now I want to go to this next little drop here. So I need to get energy. It's picking up. The ride was really good job. Actually, I don't know why this is not playing here. Because you can barely hear it probably. Nice. So nice because it's not really a main drop moment, but does really work well before the drop to take out the whole drums again, to focus on this melody, in that case played by the Black, by this voice Black. Yeah, it's always a great moment on the dance floor. And also like then it makes a smooth transition into this part where you're basically not really dancing, you know, it's like it's smooth. If you would go like this, it's just to interrupt. And also you're missing this amazing moment here. Yeah, then the break is, I think nowadays it's kind of like a normal length, just 1 minute, because like 2 long breaks, I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I'm doing a lot of tracks with breaks, yeah, because it's amazing, but also I think like sometimes it's good to not have them too long and too, I mean, they can be epic, but not like, you know, like going completely down and then slowly building it up. It's like I want a certain energy on my raves kinda, and yeah, I'm achieving this by keeping the energy high. So yeah, what I'm also doing a lot is also, do I do it here? I don't, but I do this a lot actually, to have the kick filtered in the back, to just have this impulse still, so the raver knows like, okay, we are here. Here's the driving force. Yeah, then 1 minute of breakdown. Here the climax, main drop, 16. Another 16 of another climax, kind of with the trance lead again, and then I'm already out again. So yeah, not being too long, not overdoing the elements, being straight on the being straight to the point, I think is really important. Of course, also it's because of all this of TikTok and all that shit, it's kind of changed, but I think also for the dance floor and for the music I do, it's nice to not overdo it, because also it's high energy, and if you have this part for so long, like imagine this acid part like for 2 minutes, you get just fatigue in the ears and it's losing a specialness. So yeah, give them the sugar and then take it away and give them another sugar, and then also send them home to the next track, because from here just basically drums, bassline is still there, but also a lot filtered already. Yeah. And then clean DJ outro. So basically I'm giving the DJ 2 options here to loop. One, a bit more drums, and this one pretty sparse. Yes, Habibis. That's it. It was pretty long, I guess. I don't know. I just love to talk about production. Maybe next time I go a bit straighter to the point. So yeah, I'm sorry if I maybe repeat myself too much. Yeah, but as I said, it was my first time. I really enjoy this, I'm realizing. So I'm gonna do this way more often. And yeah, what I want to say, please let me know in the comments, what do you think about this? Like, what could I improve? Because yeah, as I told you, it's my first time. I want to learn. I think it's a great way for myself to check out what did I do. So yeah, for example, what I told you in the beginning with the vocoder, to pick up some techniques and they might get lost on the way, and also to give something back to the producer community, and maybe to get good input from others producer. Would be amazing if you see something in my projects and say like, bro, you can't do this, or like, why don't you try? Please feel free to hit me up, to write it in the comments, to hit me up on Instagram. Yeah, see you next time. Cheers.